All right. So one thing I'm going to do before we kind of continue on, just on the off chance this is happening to you, for some reason this first-person controller is just not working right. It's just broken. So I'm actually going to delete that and download a different one. So you just go to the asset store, and then you want to grab this one. I'm going to go to Package Manager, and it's the modular. Just type in the same thing, first-person controller. Click on free, free assets or whatever, and then you'll see one that says like modular first person. I'll show you what the name is right here. I already added it to my assets list. It's okay. Let's load 28. Apparently, it made it just outside this thing here. Okay, it's called modular first person controller. Okay, so grab that one, just add it to your assets, then in here, just download and import. And I'm going to import, and I'm going to use this one instead, because this one didn't seem to have the same issue that the other one did, where it was crashing incessantly on me. Basically, every time I was in the air, it would crash. So if I jumped, or if I was coming down the hill and like kind of, had a little bit of air as I was running, it would crash. I'm not sure really why that is. That's just what was happening. So anyway, I'm going to go here, and then here's the thing right there. So I'm just going to drag this into the scene like so. And there's our first person modular controller. I'm going to rotate it around this way too. Oops. And it works more or less the same. I think it actually might be a better one than the other one anyway. I like the other one just because it was very simple. That's why it was called Mini or whatever. But this one will allow me to, this one will allow me to not crash so much. So you can see I can jump, and it's got sprint and all the 9 yards. Okay, so that was the first thing I wanted to do. The next thing we're going to do basically is make our enemy. Okay, so that's what we're going to work on in this one here. So let's go ahead and do that. So for the enemy, we're just going to have a placeholder. I don't know why I click that. We're going to go to this 3D object, and I'm just going to make a cube. There's my cube. And let's just go ahead and just stick it over here. And let's put it on the ground. I'm going to make it, we can leave it that size. That's fine, actually. So we'll go like that. All right, good. That looks totally acceptable. All right. So we'll just go ahead and name it enemy. Enemy. All right, great. So the first thing I want this enemy to be able to do is just come at me. We're just going to do a game where it's just basically zombies, and they're just coming at you. They don't shoot or anything, but when they get close to you, they attack. So if they're within a certain distance, they'll damage you, and then you lose the game. Okay, so that's basically what I'm going to do. Now, that involves basically pathfinding and AI. That is actually very difficult and complicated to code. Lucky for us, though, Unity has a built-in kind of system. So on top of this guy, what I need to do is I need to add a component, and it's underneath, where are you? Navigation. And we want to add a nav mesh agent. That's going to give it its ability to use the nav mesh. Now you can see in here, it's got the information about what it's capable of doing. I'm not really going to adjust any of this, but you'd want to basically make these all the settings that you would want. So like how fast it is and how quickly it accelerates, it's stopping, this sort of thing here. Okay, but I'm just going to leave these alone. I think they're fine by default for now. Later on, it might be worth adjusting them, but for now, I think they're okay. Okay. So now what I want to do is, this isn't going to work yet. It actually needs a nav mesh. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the terrain, because that's the thing that it's going to be navigating primarily. And we are going to go to window. Where are you? AI, navigation. And it's going to bring up this menu here, navigation. And all we want to do is go to the bake section. Okay, and we're going to bake a nav mesh on top of this. Okay, now this is kind of like the other thing where it has these settings. So you can see the agent radius is 0.5. So that's what they're considering a size of one of the persons. Height is 2. The max slope, meaning that if it's above 45 degrees, it will not be able to go up. Like that'll be too high for it to be able to navigate. You can make this higher or lower. Step height, which means like, it basically almost like jumping. It would be able to, well, I guess that's jump distance, but it would be able to overcome something that's a 0.4. All right. Then there's jump height. There's these advanced options. I'm thinking more or less these are fine for the defaults. So once I'm happy and I know it, you can always rebake these too. It's not a huge deal. I'm going to hit bake. Now this is going to take a little while for it to bake this mesh, so I'm going to pause the video. And then when it's done, I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so when it's complete, it'll look like this. And you can see that it made this nav mesh, all right? And what you're going to notice is, like if you look, see, wherever it's blue, basically it can go. And where it's not, it will not be able to go. So you'll notice like over here, this incline, it must be great. Yeah, it's greater than 45 degrees. So it can go up here, but it can't go into this area, basically. So it would have to walk around and go around it like that. All right. Yay. Okay, so now we have basically the components that we need in order to make this guy be able to navigate. Now we need to add the code to make my enemy be # to navigate. Let's go back to inspector here. Okay, and so let's do that. Let's go to assets. I'm gonna make a new folder. We're just gonna call it scripts, create, C# script. Actually, let's not do that. I meant to create a folder first. I created the C# script, delete. This gets really upset about it. Really upset about that empty script. We get it. There's really nothing. Okay. So right click, create folder, and we'll call this one scripts. And inside of that script, that folder, we'll create C# script, and we'll just call this one enemy controller script. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and open that up. And we're just going to make it so that it follows the player. That's what we're shooting for. All right, so I'm just going to close out of these guys here. And we are going to add some things in here. So one thing we're going to need is something that's going to hold the actual player object so that my enemy knows what to go towards. So we're just going to go ahead and do a private game object, not capital B, but object. And it's just going to call it player object. And that's just, like I said, going to hold our actual player object. And then we'll also make a variable that's going to hold the player object's transform specifically. So we'll just do private. Actually, you know, I don't know if I need that, actually. We'll wait on that one. Let me see. Oh, we're going to need something to also hold the nav mesh agent. So private, the component that's the nav mesh. It's kind of a weird one. Unity engine dot AI dot nav dot nav mesh agent, and then we'll just call it enemy nav, like so. And yeah, we'll call that good enough for now. Okay, so now what I want to do is inside of I'm not going to use the start. I'm going to change the start to awake because that would be more correct. Awake, but it's more or less kind of like our start. And we're just going to say the player object. All right, we're just going to go ahead and get that player object set. We're going to go ahead and look for it. We're going to do game object dot find find game object with with tag, and we're going to search for a tag of player. Okay. So basically we're going to look for something that has player and assign it there. And then we're also going to go ahead and we're basically going to assign these two things here. Just get these set up. So this will be enemy nav will be equal to get component, right? Like we had before. And the component we're going to get is that big long thing again, unity engine dot AI dot nav mesh agent, like this. All right, that's it, right? Yeah, that nav mesh agent. And then all we're going to do is basically have them go towards, we're going to set the destination of the nav element. So we're going to do enemy nav. So basically we're just storing our player. We're going to store, it's going to find a game object with the tag player, which currently I don't think I did yet, but we're going to add player to that first person controller, and it's going to store it in here. Okay. So if you remember before what we did is we did game object, we did .find, and we just found a game object with a name player. Well, I'm not doing it this time because this actually it already has the tag player on it. It doesn't have that name player. I don't really, because it's a prefab, I don't really want to change its name or anything. So we're going to do it by tag instead. And then enemy nav, we're just literally storing the nav agent, the nav mesh agent into this. And we're going to use that here to basically tell it where to go. So we're going to do enemy nav dot set destination, and the next destination we're going to set it to is going to be our player object dot transform dot position. Okay, and that will set the position. Basically, it's good. We're gonna set the destination of what this is trying to get to as the player's position. Okay, save that and go back to Unity and give it a second to hopefully update, and we'll see if there's any errors. And it will take a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and play it, and it should actually already start heading towards me. It should be madly in love with me and be constantly trying to come after me. And you can see very much is not doing that. And the reason why it's not doing that is because I didn't actually apply it to the enemy here. So let's go ahead and just drop that in here. Come on. There we go. Hopefully that's... All right, let's do it this way. It's hard to get it in there. Okay, now let's try it. And there it goes. And now you can see no matter where I go, it's like a lost puppy. It just wants to be with me. But it's like, get away, creeper. Okay, so that'll just keep coming after me. In fact, actually, it'll do such a good job. It will, eventually, it will murder you. Because it will either push you through the ground, or it will, let's see if it's going to push me. Yeah, it'll push you through the ground, and then you'll just die and go into the water. Or it'll just push you off the edge into the water. Either way, it just keeps going after you. So at this point now, we've got at least the nav mesh working. So we'll call that good as far as that's concerned. And then the next thing we'll do is maybe set up damaging the player and such.